There exists a type of commitment so absolute that it transforms you into someone unrecognizable. And today you're going to learn exactly how to access it. You've witnessed them before, those individuals who operate on a different frequency, rising at identical hours, executing identical routines, never wavering. When others abandon ship by week two, they're still standing. When excuses flow like water, they remain unmoved. What do people whisper about them? That's almost inhuman. Hidden within ancient warrior traditions lies a methodology that creates this exact phenomenon, a framework so powerful that once activated, failure becomes impossible, not difficult, impossible. But understand this clearly. What I'm about to reveal demands sacrifice. You'll need to execute a part of yourself you've carried your entire life. The weak part, the negotiating part, the part that's kept you average. Before we begin, hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and drop a comment telling me the single habit you're going to forge into your identity. Your engagement fuels this mission and proves you're serious about transformation. Let's begin. Meet Marcus, software engineer, six-figure salary, sharp mind, yet plagued by a pattern he couldn't break. Nothing lasted beyond 14 days. Gym membership dust after 8 weeks. Morning routine abandoned within days. Books purchased with enthusiasm, opened once, forgotten forever on shelves. His cycle was mathematical in its precision. Monday morning, volcanic motivation, ready to conquer worlds. Wednesday afternoon, first whispers of doubt, subtle negotiations with himself. Friday evening, complete collapse, surrendering to old patterns. Sunday night, fierce promises about Monday's fresh start. Marcus deployed every weapon in the modern arsenal: tracking applications, reward systems, accountability groups, motivational content consumed endlessly, zero lasting change, because he fought an invisible enemy. The fundamental wiring of his neural architecture fought him every single morning. Then he discovered why samurai warriors maintained their practices for entire lifetimes without a single missed day, not through willpower, through something far more primal and far more terrifying. In the Bushido tradition, there existed a principle that appeared deceptively simple but revolutionized everything: Shugyo, continuous forging without interruption, without interruption. Grasp the weight of those words. Ancient warrior schools operated with precision that defies modern comprehension. Training began at specific hours, not approximately, exactly, for centuries, without deviation. Want to know what never occurred in those training halls? No warrior remained in bed negotiating with themselves about whether today mattered. The question was non existent in their consciousness. Why? Because they understood a mechanism your brain uses against you every single day. Your neural networks categorize every commitment into two fundamental categories: reversible or irreversible. Reversible commitments trigger endless mental warfare. Irreversible commitments simply execute. When a warrior took his oath before his brothers, before his master, before his lineage, he wasn't making a casual promise. He was performing identity surgery. He wasn't committing to try training. He was declaring himself a warrior. The community witnessed it. The transformation occurred. The negotiation died. Modern neuroscience validates what ancient warriors discovered through practice. Research from leading institutions reveals something extraordinary. When you make behavior public, your primitive survival brain interprets failure as a catastrophic status loss. Our evolutionary ancestors who lost standing within their tribe faced death. Your brain still operates on this ancient programming. This is precisely what Marcus implemented. He stopped making private wishes and started making irreversible declarations. He wrote by hand. I am someone who trains at 5 a.m. for 20 minutes every single day for 90 consecutive days. He signed his name. He posted it across every social platform. He informed everyone in his life. His partner told him he was being dramatic. His colleagues said he was overcompensating. Perfect. Every person who knew became fuel for the fire. Every morning he wanted to quit. He visualized facing every single person and admitting he was just another person who couldn't follow through. Day 3 delivered the first authentic test. 5 a.m. arrived. His mind immediately launched its familiar assault. Your body needs rest. This is unsustainable. Missing one day means nothing. Nobody will actually check. But something fundamental had shifted. The thought of announcing online that he'd failed after 72 hours felt unbearable. The thought of his partner's knowing look, the thought of becoming another statistic. The public declaration made quitting more painful than continuing. But then the real challenge emerged. Even with crushing social pressure, Marcus still fought a war every single morning. His biology didn't care about his reputation. His body wanted sleep when fatigue hit. The public declaration eliminated mental negotiation, but he still battled his own physiology at dawn. That's when he discovered the warrior's second principle: fixed battle times. Every single day, you hemorrhage mental energy on an identical question: when should I do this? Morning or afternoon? Before work or after? Now or in an hour? This decision burns cognitive fuel that should power actual practice. You're wasting energy deciding when to drive instead of actually driving. Marcus chose 5 a.m., not because he loved early mornings or enjoyed sunrise meditation. He chose 5 a.m. because the world was unconscious: zero messages, zero emails, zero distractions, zero possible excuses. The timing wasn't about optimization, it was about elimination, eliminating every conceivable reason to postpone. Week one was brutal warfare. His body fought against the new rhythm every morning. This is normal. Your body operates on established patterns, and you're forcing it to construct an entirely new pattern. It resists. Week two brought change. He began waking 2 minutes before his alarm. His body started preparing for what it now expected. Day 14, the alarm sounded and his feet touched the floor before conscious thought engaged. No decision, no internal debate, pure movement. Here's what most people miss about fixed timing: it's not about discovering the perfect schedule, it's about removing time as a variable. When you practice at different times daily, you're forcing your brain to make a fresh decision every single time. When timing is fixed, your brain cannot argue with a constant. But Marcus discovered a new problem. His schedule was locked, but he kept changing what he did during that time. Some mornings, meditation felt right. Other days, he read. Sometimes physical training. His brain had located a new negotiation point. Instead of arguing about when, he started arguing about what. 20 minutes at 5 a.m. became reliable, but the practice itself remained chaos. He'd eliminated the when, but not the what. And this is where ancient wisdom becomes controversial, because it requires you to perform exactly the same practice every single day until your mind completely surrenders. You believe variety maintains interest, but variety is actually where consistency dies. Every time you alter what you're doing, your brain must make micro decisions. Push ups or running today? Which book? How long? Every small decision creates a crack where old patterns seep back in. Marcus locked everything down completely: 20 push ups, 10 minutes of breath work, 10 minutes of reading, same sequence, same timer, same practice. His personal 90-day forge. Identical practice daily. His friends labeled him robotic. His partner said he was becoming rigid. They didn't understand that rigid was exactly the objective. Week 3, his mind declared war. Every morning, it screamed for variety. This is mechanical. You're not a machine. Change things up or you'll burn out. Week 4, something shattered, not his discipline, his resistance. The negotiating voice grew quieter. By week 6, he was halfway through his push ups before realizing he'd started. The practice was executing itself. This is what people misunderstand about consistency. It's not about willpower lasting eternally, it's about repetition until willpower becomes unnecessary. Your body learns the sequence like a martial artist learns forms. Research on behavioral automaticity shows that when you repeat an action in an identical context for approximately 66 days, different brain structures take control. The behavior becomes automatic. You're no longer deciding to do it, you're simply doing it. Day 35, Marcus caught a severe cold. Day 40, business travel across time zones. This is where the old pattern activates. Sick day equals rest day, travel equals exception. This is where you quit before, where everyone quits. Because perfect practice demands perfect conditions, and perfect conditions don't exist. But ancient warriors understood something about gaps that changes everything. Practice must continue without even a moment of interruption, because in that gap, all your old patterns return. What saved Marcus when chaos arrived was understanding that practice doesn't require perfection, it requires continuity. The all or nothing mindset has destroyed more consistency than laziness ever could. You tell yourself, if I can't do the full 20 minutes, why do anything? If I can't do perfect form, I'll wait until tomorrow. This thinking creates gaps, and gaps are where your old self crawls back in. Examine any elite performer, and you'll notice something people misinterpret. They have recovery periods, but those recovery periods are still progress. They're intentional, strategic, planned, never because they feel unmotivated, never because they don't want to practice. A recovery day enables them to practice harder tomorrow. This is still forward movement, but when you skip because you're tired, that's not recovery, it's retreat. A river never stops flowing. During drought, it may be a trickle, but it never stops. The moment it stops, it's no longer a river. It's a memory of where water used to be. Your practice is identical. The moment you create a gap, you're no longer practicing. You're someone who used to practice. Travel day arrived on day 40. Airport at 4 a.m. Meetings consuming the entire day. No gym at the hotel. Marcus did push ups in the airport restroom. People stared at him like he'd lost his sanity. Excellent. He did breath work in the taxi. He read on the aircraft. Nothing was perfect. Everything maintained momentum toward the identical goal he declared 90 days prior. This is continuous forging, practice perpetuating itself. That's when people started noticing. Colleagues said he seemed transformed. Friends said he was becoming obsessive. Someone actually claimed his discipline wasn't healthy, that normal people don't behave this way. When you hear these words, you know you're on the correct path. Normal people achieve normal results. You're not pursuing normal, you're pursuing unbreakable. But here's what nobody prepares you for: the unexpected obstacles you never anticipated, the things you can't plan for because you don't know they exist. Your family member falls ill, your vehicle breaks down en route to training, your boss demands late hours. These are consistency killers because you haven't pre-decided how to handle them. Every time an unexpected obstacle materializes, you must make a decision under stress. That decision in that moment of chaos is where you'll choose the path of least resistance every time. The obstacle wins because you're fighting a battle you didn't prepare for. Ancient warrior schools operated for centuries without missing a single day of training. Earthquakes, conflicts, famines, the practice continued. How? They didn't make decisions when obstacles arose. The response already existed. When the training hall flooded, they moved to the courtyard. When the courtyard was unavailable, they practiced in storage rooms. There was no discussion, no meeting, no negotiation. The drum sounded. The response was automatic. Marcus wrote down every obstacle that had ever broken his consistency and pre-solved each one. Raining, push-ups in the garage, guests at home, silent workout in the closet. Hangover, which shouldn't happen, but if it does, 2 push-ups, 1 minute of breath work, 1 page of reading. Each scenario had its predetermined response. When X happens, I do Y. Zero thinking, zero negotiating, pure execution. The power isn't just maintaining the sequence, it's that you stop wasting mental energy on decisions. Your brain knows that, regardless of tomorrow's chaos, the practice continues. This certainty transforms your entire nervous system. Research on decision making reveals that when you pre-decide your actions, you remove decision fatigue from the critical moment. Your willpower remains intact to execute rather than decide. Day 70 arrived. Marcus's practice had become completely automatic. He would sometimes wake up not remembering completing the push-ups. His body simply moved through the sequence like a programmed system. His partner's family visited for a week. He did push-ups in the bathroom at 5 a.m. The practice continued because the answers were already written. Day 90, he completed his personal forge. 3 months of uninterrupted practice. But something deeper had occurred. He was no longer the same human being. Friends literally told him, "Your discipline is frightening." His response was perfect, good. Because when your discipline makes others uncomfortable, you're finally operating at the correct level. Your existence proves that everything they claim is impossible is actually just uncomfortable. That's why they'll label you obsessive. That's why they'll say you need balance. They need you to slow down so they can feel better about standing still. But you're not doing this for them. You're doing it because you've discovered the secret. Consistency isn't about doing something every day. It's about becoming someone who can't do it any other way. When you implement this system, public declaration, fixed timing, identical practice, pre-programmed responses, you're not just creating habits, you're reshaping your identity. You stop being someone who tries and become someone who simply is. And when that happens, when that transformation is complete, people will look at you and think, how does he do that? And the answer will be simple. He doesn't. He is. Marcus continued his practice beyond the 90 days. It wasn't a challenge anymore. It was who he was. The alarm at 5 a.m. wasn't a choice. It was his nature. 6 months in, he added a second practice block. 1 year in, people stopped asking how he maintained consistency. They could see it in his eyes. The negotiation was dead. The warrior was born. His partner eventually told him something profound. "You're not the person I met. You're someone completely different." He responded, "Exactly, because that was always the point. This system won't make you a better version of yourself. It'll make you a different person entirely. Someone others will observe and think, that's not normal." And when you hear those words, you'll know you've finally arrived where you needed to be. The ancient warriors understood something modern self improvement gurus miss. Transformation isn't addition, it's death and rebirth. The death of your inconsistent self, the birth of your unbreakable self. This system won't improve you, it'll replace you. The person reading this now will not be the person who completes 90 days. That person doesn't exist yet. They're waiting to be forged in the fire of continuous practice. Every single day you show up, the old you dies a little. Every single morning you execute without negotiation, the new you grows stronger. By day 90, the transformation is complete. The old you is gone. The new you is unbreakable. People will ask your secret. They won't understand when you tell them. There is no secret. There's only the practice, and the practice never stops. Now the question stands before you. Are you ready for this level of transformation? Because this isn't about discipline. It's about death and rebirth. The death of your inconsistent self, the birth of your unbreakable self. This system won't make you a better person. It'll make you a different person. Someone others will look at and think, that's not normal. And when you hear those words, you'll know you've finally gotten where you needed to be. If this message changed your perspective on what's possible, subscribe to this channel and activate notifications so you don't miss content that will transform you. And tell me in the comments, what will your public declaration be? What practice will you implement using this system? Remember, the consistency that frightens others is the only consistency worth having. If you've watched this far, thank you for your attention. And I'll see you in the next transmission. Now go forge yourself in the fire.